you've talked about asking for a pay rise. Please, can we talk about that? Because that comes up all the time for coachees who are aware of the gender norms and the biases that exist when a man asks to, say, be paid market rate, offer a bit more, and how a woman is perceived differently if she were to make the same requests.
Absolutely, and I love to talk about this because I see it as constant battle for lots of women not being paid what they're worth. So first of all, be very objective about it. Write down your achievements, any additional responsibilities you've taken on. In my case, when I was at a very disappointing review of my pay one year, I realized that they hadn't taken account of the fact that I had been taken on a lot more responsibility, and that the year before I had taken some maternity leave. So I really had lost out twice now, effectively. They'd just kind of given me a very token amount. But be objective about it. I felt very upset when that happened, and I felt very worried about raising it. It was a Friday afternoon that I got this news of a tiny little pay rise and almost no bonus. I know I'm lucky at all to have bonuses in the finance industry, but it was minuscule. And I'd also performed really well for clients that year, and many of my colleagues hadn't. So after having a few tears, I then wrote it down, and I said to my boss, please, could I have a little word with you about my compensation? And he was a bit taken aback, and he said, okay, and we went into a little room. And I just I didn't read from the paper, but I had it there ready if I needed it, if I got a bit emotional. And I just was very matter of fact. And I just said, I think I should have had a higher pay rise. And he said, oh, why do you think that? And I said, these were the reasons. I've taken on more responsibility, etc. I said, I also think I should have had a much higher bonus. And he asked me, he said, what do you think that number should have been? And I took the original number and I doubled it, but I really wished I'd done like 5 times, because he's just said immediately, oh, yes, of course. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't really think it through. So, and I've had a couple of other experiences in my life. I mean, I wouldn't make a habit of it every year. That's the other thing. Just save it for when you really have a strong case. But then in my experience and talking to colleagues who've gone through something similar, perhaps, if you ask, you usually get in this situation, unless the company is going through difficulties. But just make your case very matter of fact.